What is going on, everybody? Tyler Brand back here with another video, and today we are going to talk about a topic that has been trending recently on Patriots Twitter, all over Patriots social media, and that is basically stemming from earlier this week, at the end of last week, the Patriots were awarded grievances for settling contract disputes or contract issues with both Aaron Hernandez and Antonio Brown. So with those disputes settled, they got around $7 and change, high $6 million worth of cap space to spend this offseason. So they went from having, a couple $100,000 to over $7 million in cap space, which is excellent, and it's great for New England, especially with the season, coming up very, very shortly. Now, with that cap space, I've seen everything from bring back Antonio Brown, which is ridiculous, and that will not happen. Let's just get that out there. Trade for Jadeveon Njoku, which would be interesting. I would be very intrigued. I would definitely love, personally, to have him on New England. But considering that New England moved up to get Devin Asiasi, and they've made moves to acquire tight ends, and there's currently 4 or 5 tight ends on the depth chart, it just doesn't seem likely. He doesn't really fit what New England tight ends are brought here to do, especially over recent history. A guy like Njoku, who's not really a blocking tight end, he's more of a hybrid wide receiver, but that's not the subject of the video. The last thing that I've seen on Patriots Twitter with this new cap money that they have, and this has been from everywhere that you possibly go for Patriots information, and that is signing Jadeveon Clowney, who for some reason still remains unsigned this late into free agency, with the season starting, very, very soon again. So before we jump into kind of the stats and who Jadeveon Clowney is on the field, I do just want to say everything so far that you may have seen online about the Patriots going after or having a good fit or thinking it makes sense, however you want to say it, it's only been spoken about, it's only been reported, published by fans and people that are following the team. Nothing from inside of the New England Patriots organization has been leaked or has been reported on that they are actually speaking to Clowney about coming to play in New England. So everything that we've heard thus far is just speculation, but I just thought this would be a fun video. It's kind of a decently slow week in the Patriots world, and this has kind of been the most trending thing that I've seen on social media. So would Jadeveon Clowney really be a good fit in New England from every side of it, schematically, cap-wise? Let's break down a little bit of Jadeveon Clowney. Let's start first with the health of Jadeveon Clowney. So Clowney's been in the league now about 7-8 years. He's played 16 games in his career one time. That doesn't bode well for the health side of things. This offseason is going to get, or he had surgery, on some core muscle injury that he had, which is some of the reason why, and a lot of people believe that he is still unsigned because of what his expected value was for himself, the injuries, and then what's going on in the real world with the pandemic and all the NFL teams spending money and hesitating to do so. So first things first with Clowney, we have to understand that he is an injury-prone player, and he's only played 16 games in a season one time. Next thing on the list to talk about Clowney here is the fact that he has never had double-digit sacks in a season. At any point in the 8 seasons that he's played, he's never, ever had double-digit sacks, something that is not very promising. Beyond that, he's never had more than 64 pressures, quarterback pressures, in a season. That would have ranked 19th in the league among edge rushers in 2019. So, again, I understand the physical threat and the physical talent he is, but it's not equating to measurable stats, at least not at this point of his career. Again, never had double-digit sacks, doesn't consistently get to the passer as much as you'd want to see a first overall pick get there. That's the first thing that makes me a little weary about Clowney. Moving down the list on Clowney, speaking of just 2019, in 2019, Clowney had 48 pressures as a pass rusher, which is good for 32nd in the league in 2019. Good, not great. Going down the list here, his pass rushing productivity, it's good, not great. On a per snap basis, it was graded as a 6.5. That's, again, not really moving the needle much. That's tied for 36th. So, again, not the elite pass rusher that people want to make him out to be. I think he, at this point of his career, he's got a lot of career left and he's going to get a shot somewhere. But to this point, for a #1 overall pick, he's just been good, and that's it. On the contrary, people say, I've read, I've seen, I've heard, that he is a good run stopper and he is a good edge setter. Agreed. He is a good edge setter. He is a good run stopper. But again, I think it ends there. I don't think he's an elite run defender. I don't think he's an elite edge setter. You know, it just doesn't move the needle for me. Last season, he had 7 tackles for loss or no gain. 9 other edge defenders had more than 10. So it's again, good stats, but at no point is this #1 overall pick really outside of the box as either a pass rush artist or a run defender. I don't want to make this seem like this is a video all about crushing Clowney, because it's not. I understand that he is a good player. He is a really good player. But he's a #1 overall pick. Keep that in mind. He's someone whose valuation of himself, which should be high, I understand he's a confident, good player, but he wanted a $20 million a year. I just don't think that he's that kind of a player, and I think that's where we really can get into this part of the video of what the Patriots do to get him on their team. For example, we know that he's going to only have to sign a 1-year deal with New England. That's it, and it's going to have to be a deal that looks a lot like Cam Newton. It's not going to be a 1-year, $10 million deal. They don't have that kind of money. It's going to be a deal, something like maybe 1 year, $2, $3, $4 million with incentives if you hit sack numbers, if you hit pass rush numbers, tackle for loss, whatever that is, or games played numbers, whatever that is, you're going to have to hit those numbers to get a bonus. And I don't know if Clowney really wants to do that. Another positive note for Clowney, he does fit Bill Belichick's scheme as kind of a 3-4 scheme. He is going to be versatile enough to play what Belichick wants to play. He's going to be able to line up inside as a defensive end. He'll be able to line up outside as a linebacker. The way that Gerard Mayo and Belichick mix up the defense, he could probably line up inside on a guard. You can probably get him stunts and picks to get him open lanes to the quarterback. So I do see the promise there, and I do see the positive ability that he can have. You know, I see the ceiling of a Kyle Van Noy kind of guy, but I also don't know if the Patriots should spend the rest of their cap on a Kyle Van Noy guy. And I know how good Kyle Van Noy was, I get that, but they let Kyle Van Noy walk because of the salary cap, because they didn't want to pay him. So my thing in relative to the cap space that the Patriots have is, do you want to chew up 100% of the remaining cap space that this team has on Jadeveon Clowney, especially considering there are guys that you can work out. Hightower's contract you can extend and you can rework. Stephen Gilmore's contract you can rework. But it seems like things are really taking a long time in this pandemic to get things churning with salary cap, with money coming in and out for NFL teams concerning whether they're going to play. So I understand Clowney's good, but do I want to spend 100% of the Patriots' remaining cap that they just were awarded on Jadeveon Clowney? And that, to me, is where I go back and forth. He's a good, not a great player. He's a #1 overall pick to, at this point, I don't think has hit his goals or where he should be as a #1 overall pick. And beyond that, I think that New England can do a couple more smarter things with that money. I don't think they necessarily have to go out and spend a bunch of it right now. Through the season, people are going to get hurt with the COVID running rampant right now. Players may get sick and not be able to play for a couple weeks. You could bring in a veteran that way. And even if you want to keep that money and use it internally, Joe Thuney, please, I'm the captain of the sign Joe Thuney bandwagon. Please sign Joe Thuney with that money. J.C. Jackson, we've seen in the last couple weeks just how good statistically he's been with some of his stats coming out, especially part of that New England secondary. And we've seen how good he is. Maybe New England doesn't let him hit the open market. You use some of that money to rework a contract and get him an extension. Anyways, moral of the story, as I got a little bit, off the rails there, just a touch maybe. But moral of the story here is I do want Clowney. He's a good player. I don't want to spend 100% of this cap space that they have left on him. I think there's other ways to do it. But as far as doing it, that's going to do it for this video. Once again, I'm Tyler Brandt. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe. I would appreciate it. We're growing little by little. Let me know, do you want Jadeveon Clowney? What kind of a deal would Jadeveon Clowney look like? What kind of deal would you give him? Share the video, like the video. leave a comment. All things New England. I'd love to chop it up with you in the comments. Until next time, I'm Tyler Brandt. Stay safe, be good, and I'll catch you on the next one.